Our political insiders now in the studio. We have Mark Singel and Charlie Giroux. Guys, as always, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Let's start with Governor Corbett's announcement yesterday of the Healthy PA initiative, saying he'd accept Medicaid dollars under the Federal Patient Protection Affordable Care Act. Did this come as a surprise? Charlie, we'll start with you.
Not as a surprise. In some ways, the governor showed almost Salamic wisdom in this because there's tremendous pressure from both sides of the political aisle on him over this issue. What he said was there are certain conditions, markers, if you will, under which we would take the additional Medicaid funding, And those conditions are very serious. There are reforms that he wants, including common sense things like a co-payment requirement and a work requirement, things that most Pennsylvanians, I think, would see as in the benefit of all our citizens.
Mark?
Well, I would just simply say that better late than never, Governor, because what this is an acceptance of the expansion of Medicaid. And what this is a kind of a backhand acceptance of Obamacare, since this is a major portion of that whole Affordable Care Act. Some of the tweaks that Charlie mentioned are practical, but I don't think you can consider it a whole-scale revision of Medicaid. It's kind of presumptuous for one governor to think he's going to fix the entire Medicaid problem in the country. What he did was said, I'll take the money, because there's $4 billion on the table. He had to take the money.
I missed the press conference, I have to admit, but I think you did as well, Mark, because he didn't say that at all. He said that in order for him to say yes, these preconditions would have to be met. None of those have been met to this point, and I think it's interesting that things like the CHIP program, which I think was one of your signature items, the governor's trying to protect for Pennsylvanians against the big hand of the federal government and Obamacare. I mean, this governor, I think, has consistently said, we're not going to do things that aren't affordable. We're not going to do things that aren't sustainable. We're going to do what's right for the people of Pennsylvania. I think that the medical community in particular yesterday was saying he did the right thing. I mean, I'd be a little concerned if I was surrounded by all those white lab coats.
But this is important. The federal government has basically said to all the states, we'll pay for the expansion, 100% of it. And then in 2020, we'll pay 90%. So it's a good deal for every state.
Now, he did say yesterday he wants to use the Medicaid dollars to buy private insurance policies rather than expanding government roles. What does that mean to you?
That could be problematic because if the private insurers' product are more expensive than the health exchanges would be, who's going to pay the difference? So what the governor is doing is shoveling a lot of money to the private insurers. And it's arguable whether or not that's an appropriate thing to do. It's going to cost a lot more money.
Charlie?
I see up on your lead there that the next item we're going to talk about is organized labor backing off of Obamacare. And this plays right into this issue. I mean, the question of these exchanges is now becoming more and more significant as we get closer to the presumed start date here. And organized labor is saying, wait a minute, not so fast. I mean, these are Obama's strongest supporters saying what many in Congress are now saying, including the prime authors of Obamacare, which is this thing is a mess. And the fact of the matter is that in the private sector, organized labor was able to negotiate with employers a better plan than they probably are going to get under Obamacare.
Well, let's go.
You know, their convention last week sounded like CPAC sometimes.
Well, I want to bring that up. The AFL-CIO at its convention last week passed a resolution calling Obamacare highly disruptive to some union insurance plans.
Yeah, but that shouldn't be unexpected. I mean, organized labor is typically disorganized at their annual conference, and people have a right to their own opinions as to how it's affecting their unions-run plans. What happened, actually, was that they expressed some disenchantment about certain parts of Obamacare, and the White House did the right thing. It said, let's sit down and let's meet and let's resolve these. It's not as crazy as Charlie makes it out to be.
Well, they supported it at one point. Is this buyer's remorse?
It certainly is buyer's remorse, and we're seeing this all over the place. I mean, the plan simply doesn't work. Its principal architect, Max Baucus, says it's a train wreck. I can't go any better than describing it than he has. It is a mess, and it's the problem here is that many people believe that what some of the Democrats in Congress actually are trying to do here is to scrap the Obamacare plan and ultimately force us through the back door into what they couldn't get through the front door, which is a single plan.
We have 2 seconds. Final word.
It's very unfortunate. That's not what happened at the labor convention. That's not where the people are standing on Obamacare. It works, and this is going to make a lot of people healthy in this country.
We got to end it there. Thank you, guys. As always, you can see our political insiders every Tuesday on CBS 21 News at 5:30.